Good afternoon, everyone. I warmly welcome you to the last English debate of the year in the junior division. The topic for today is students should no longer be compelled to write letters. Our judges for today are Mr. James, Mrs. Crispin, Mr. Costa, and Dr. Das. May I remind the speakers that they shall be given 3 minutes to express their views. After 2 minutes, a bell shall be rung, and after the third minute, a second bell shall be rung. After each speaker has concluded his or her debate, members of the other teams are permitted to ask 2 short and precise questions. If they do not do so within 30 seconds, the speaker will be awarded full marks for rebuttal. No cross-questioning will be permitted. Without further ado, I shall now call upon the first speaker, Itash Bansal of Cornwall House, to express his views for the motion.
With the permission of the chair, I would like to begin. Good afternoon to the House at large. I, Itash Bansal of Cornwall House, stand before you completely in support of the topic under fire today, which is students should not be compelled to write letters. I will be proving my stance through 5 constructive arguments, starting with my first argument. In every dormitory in our school, there are telephones which are used by us to talk to our parents. Also, each one of us has been given an iPad which has apps like Outlook, which can send messages in seconds. So why should we write letters which take a whole week to send and receive? Second, till last year we used to send letters through the India Post. Each envelope would cost around 5 rupees. Add to the cost, letters would reach late or not reach at all. So here we would put our heart and soul into the letter with no guarantee that it would reach our loved ones. How unfair is that? So now we have switched to the courier service delivery system to ensure that they reach. However, it costs much more. Consider writing an email or making a phone call at a nominal or no cost. Isn't this the sensible and economical way of going about it? Third, now some of my worthy opponents might say that letters are a good way to keep memories. But can't memories be created through saved email messages on Outlook? For example, in the 90s, we used to save our pictures in an album, but now we do it in Google Photos, which is an app. So, why can't we do the same with letters and Outlook? Fifth, now again, some of my worthy opponents might say that letters are a great way to teach about language skills. But don't you think there are other ways to learn these skills than simply forcing students to write letters? In our school, we have a number of competitions like debates, essay writing and some other, which can definitely help in improve our language skills. These skills can be more engaging and effective than simply forcing students to write letters. Fifth, letter writing is a dying art, and obviously so because of a reason, change is the only constant. So it's all the more to use technology. In conclusion, I would like to say I am not against writing letters. If some students would like to do so out of their will, well, then good. But students should not be compelled to do so because then it does not serve any purpose. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, you said that letters are a dying art. So, shouldn't we, as responsible citizens of the earth, help preserve this dying art?
With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer this question. See, letter writing is a dying art, like cell phones, which we used to, uh, which we used to take which we used to use, and letter is like one of them. So that's why everything shouldn't be preserved to by us, because then like cell phones, letters also should be replaced by Outlook. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, in your debate you mentioned that emails are a good way to make memories, but don't you think that letters are more efficient in that way?
With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer this question. Yes, letters are efficient than Outlook, but it costs paper and money like 5 rupees, whereas Outlook is free to log in and can message anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Akash. I shall now call upon Naisa Sachdeva to express her views against the motion.
With the permission of the chair, I would like to start my debate. Quote, what a lot we lost when we stopped writing letters. We can't reread phone calls. Unquote. Liz Carpenter. Good afternoon to the judges and the House at large. Today, I, Naisa Sachdeva of Condon House, would like to go against the topic that students should not be compelled to write letters, and I will present my debate with the help of 3 constructive arguments. First of all, I would like to start by saying that letters act as a keepsake. In a modern world like ours, letters remind our parents of the good old days where children were not glued to their screens all day. Later, once we all are grown up, it would also remind us who we were as kids. Coming to my second constructive argument, writing letters improve our language skills, and there are less chances of mistakes while writing. But while texting on mobile phones, we also make mistakes, but the phones being AI correct the mistake before sending the message out, and we don't get to find that out. So we tend to repeat that same mistake over and over again, as we are not conscious enough to notice and learn the correct spelling prompted by the autocorrect feature in a phone. On the other hand, in a letter, we go through what all we have written, find and correct those mistakes, and don't repeat them again. And lastly, I would like to say that letters have a personal touch to them, because you have made an effort of writing the letter with your very own hands, while on a phone, you just have to type the message out on the screen and send it, because the phone is practically doing all the work. Also, on a phone, you can only express yourself with a certain amount of emojis. But in a letter, the hard work and dedication you have put into the letter down to the very last word of it shows. And the person you sent it to will find out how much you mean to them. In conclusion, I would like to say letter writing is an art that is now getting lost. It is our job as students to save this dying art, which is why I think students should be compelled to write letters. With this, I rest my voice but not my case. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, you said in your debate that when you message and you write something incorrectly, the AI corrects it automatically, but doesn't that make it efficient?
Thank you for your question, Miss Interjector. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer this question. Look, you see that, yes, they correct the thing, and to some people it may be efficient, but we don't get to learn the mistake. As I said in my debate, we're going to make that same mistake over and over again until somebody does not point it out. But in a letter, we go through the mistakes and, correct them. I hope that answers your question.
Madam Speaker, you said that letters can preserve how we were in the childhood and how we were before. So wouldn't photos and videos showcase that thing better, and it would be easier for us to understand how we were?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer. See, yes, they preserve the photos much more better, but like, what if the phone breaks and you don't have those that you don't have the images or videos saved? So, but in a letter, you take care of it. You find like ways of taking care of it. Like, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Narsa. I shall now call upon Pranay Agarwal of Foy House to express his views for the motion.
Students should no longer be compelled to write letters. Not write letters anymore. How shocking! Unheard of. Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson and respected judges. Let us look closely at the keywords in the topic under fire. They are should no longer. Allow me to offer a simple conversation as an example. Mr. Kumar, can I get some envelopes and stamps to send a letter home? Of course, my boy. That's a wonderful thought. Focus on how the topic simply states that if Pranay wants to write a letter, he should not be stopped. But he should not be compelled to write one either. As my first constructive argument, I would like to voice my concern over the word compelled. We can encourage children to write letters, but compelling them will never produce the desired results. The letters they write will be shoddy, misspelled, and incomplete. Imagine somebody close to you receiving such a letter. He'll think it rude that you couldn't even take the time out to write a proper letter. The opposition might mention that language and grammar we can improve by letter writing. But I would like to use this as my counterpoint as my second constructive argument. You and I already write letters during our language lessons and they forget enough and no practice. And I'm also grateful for my teachers who absolutely correct my spellings and grammar. My third point urges you to focus on the kind of communication that the world will want from us when we leave Wynberg-Allen. Writing a debate and sharing my written thoughts will help me more than writing a letter. Let us not forget that the most looked for communication in the world today by schools, colleges, or offices is oral communication. So how clearly and confidently I speak will determine how successful I will be. As my final argument, I would like to say that when my parents hear my voice over the phone, they experience unlimited joy. I live in a boarding school and therefore get homesick a little. When I hear my mother say beta, it not only helps me get rid of all the stress and worries, but also the hurtful moments too. In her sweet voice and genuine concern are so meaningful. In the end, I would like to conclude my debate with a short poem. With gentle words and a caring heart, encouragements will be start. Not by compulsion, but love and grace. Children thrive in a nurturing space. Thank you.
Mr. Debater, as you mentioned in your debate that our language teachers make us write letters, but isn't that the same as compelling students to write letters? What are your views on your this statement?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. With the permission, with the permission of the chair. No, I don't think that our language teachers compel us to write letters because we love our language lessons and therefore the letters we write in our language lessons are about different topics like an invitation to a principal or anything. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, don't you think that in many places, such as workplaces, and when you need a letter of recommendation for a college, letters are still the preferred mode of communication as they show professionalism?
That's thank you for your question. With the permission of the chair, that's my topic.
Thank you, Pranay. I shall now call upon Aradhya to come and express her views against the motion.
What a lot we will lose when we stop writing letters. You can't reread a phone call. Liz Carpenter. Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, honorable judges, my worthy opponents, and members of the floor. To write is human. To receive a letter, divine. Ah, dear listeners, the pleasure of receiving a letter is just indescribable. Letters speak volumes about the thoughtfulness of the person who took time out to pen those thoughts. Letters are a means to inculcate good manners and values in the younger generation. Have you noticed how kindness, empathy, consideration, attentiveness, and warmth seem to be fast disappearing from a world that considers technology a substitute for everything? Technology is speedier, but does it help students learn any of the values mentioned above? Unfortunately, it does not. The proposition is sure to say that children today are very busy and it would be cruel to force them to write letters. However, I have alarming statistics for you. A new study conducted by the MS University's Department of Statistics has revealed that the average reel viewing time of a student is 3 hours. Since the average length of a reel is 15 seconds, students are watching around 360 to 480 reels. Shocking but real. Writing a letter of gratitude, a letter of condolence, a letter of encouragement, or simply inquiring about the well-being of your grandparents has more benefits than you can possibly think. The purpose of compelling students to write letters also aligns with the education objectives, as it helps the students to develop important communication skills, including the ability to express thoughts, ideas, and emotions clearly and coherently, which is an important skill in both professional and personal contexts. The conscious act of letter writing requires attention without distraction. Thus, one has to sit with a focused mind, which helps in developing valuable attributes such as patience and persistence. The topic does not state that students should be stopped to use emails or other electronic modes of communication. It just asks for letter writing to be made compulsory in schools. But I don't like letter writing. Dear young friends, you also don't like getting up early in the morning to run, eating healthy food, and being stopped from watching your iPad all the time. Some tasks you may dislike are the steps toward achieving our long-term goals. In conclusion, I would like to say that writing letters of love will help you in numerous ways. Quote, texting and email are mostly reactionary. You need information so you reach out. Writing letters is much more deliberate. You do it to give, not to receive. Unquote. Kyle Young.
In today's world, writing letters is not sustainable as we have to cut trees, and that wastes paper. What do you have to say about it?
Thank you for your question. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer. Well, you said that letter writing is a waste of paper. Well, if seen from this point of view, isn't writing examinations also a waste of paper? Don't they also waste paper? So should we stop writing our exams? I'll tell you one thing. Letter writing does not waste papers. In fact, it makes that simple piece of paper even more special by adding your feelings into it. Thank you.
Speaker, don't you think letter writing makes communication very difficult because it takes time to reach to the receiver? Please comment.
Thank you for your question. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer. Yes, I know that letter takes time. But how does that matter at all? You know what actually matters here? The effort of the sender and the happiness of the receiver, and not what time it takes. Thank you.
Thank you, Aradhana. I shall now call upon Pratham Rao of Pal House to speak his views for the motion.
A very good afternoon to the August House. Ladies and gentlemen, today I, Pratham Rao, will present before you my views which will help you and my fellow opponents to understand why we should not be compelled to write letters. Ladies and gentlemen, saying that we should be compelled to write letters completely overshadows the brilliance, the excellence, the diligence and the hard work which was put into making telephones, mobile phones and smartphones. Ladies and gentlemen, we have all heard the famous proverb, necessity is the mother of invention. But when my fellow opponents say that we should be compelled to write letters, that proverb completely makes no sense. As in today's world, our necessity is faster and better communication, and letters are not the compatible partner for our necessity. Ladies and gentlemen, letters on the other hand become the epitome of impracticality when it comes to getting quick and fast responses, as they take quite a lot of time to reach the receiver, even if it is a short distance the letter has to cover. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the letter doesn't even reach the receiver, as postal services these days are pretty dicey and it is very hard to improve or change such an age-old system. Ladies and gentlemen, the majority of people these days prefer a simple text message or a live interaction on a video call, as it takes way less time and effort than writing a letter. This is because, ladies and gentlemen, in today's world, convenience and time often take priority. The digital communication is also just way better than writing letters, as it provides us with safety features such as end-to-end encryption and antivirus software. Ladies and gentlemen, letters go through way too many hands, some of which may be sinister or malicious. Ladies and gentlemen, writing letters is also very environmentally unfriendly. Cutting trees just for namesake, nostalgia or special touch is just not done. We in today's world have to be sustainable, excuse me, so that the future generations can get their share in the world's limited natural resources. Let me remind my fellow opponents that the earth does not only belong to us. I would like to conclude by saying that when we can just send a simple text message or even have a live interaction on a video call, there is no need to cut trees, waste more time, money and effort and risk your privacy. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow opponents today have or will just mislead the August House into a blissful world which does not and will never exist. Thank you. Work conquers all.
Thank you.
What about the communication and language skills that you learn by writing letters? What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. I am right now speaking a debate. I am debating right now. I am improving my conversation skills. I am improving my language skills. And when I wrote this debate, I was improving my writing skills. I hope that answers your question.
Mr. Speaker, you said in your debate that letters go through a lot of sinister hands and Well, that's not safe. But what about technology? That it's not safe either.
Madam, interjector technology is so much safe that you can't even imagine. I also said in my debate that digital communication provides us with antivirus software. I lay emphasis again, Madam Interjector, antivirus software. You can just install it into your device and you can get all the safety in the world that you want. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call upon Tenzing Yanzong to speak her views against the motion.
Quote, life is bearable when you have someone to write and someone who writes you back, even if it's just one person. Unquote. Yunjin Jen. A very good afternoon to the House at large. I, Tenzing Yanzom of Pal House, would like to express my views against the topic, students should no longer be compelled to write letters. Letter writing is a lost art in this generation, and we definitely do not understand the importance of letter writing. For instance, it will improve your vocabulary, your writing skills, and it will help you express yourself in a more thoughtful way. Writing letters require careful thought and consideration. Letters have way more emotion in them, which a digital text message or a phone call will never have, as there's so much love, affection, and precious time put into writing these letters. Now, I'd like to ask you a question. Would you value a text message sent from a loved one or a handwritten letter? Obviously, I'm guessing that the majority would say the letter. Receiving a handwritten letter into which love and affection has been put is always a joy. Letters can be kept and treasured for years. Don't your parents call you and tell you happily about the letter that they received? These letters serve as tangible reminders of special moments, relationships, and sentiments. We have created this deceptive image of letter writing that needs to be removed immediately. Letter writing is a part of human history and culture. Many famous letters have been preserved and offer insights into the past. Writing letters can serve as a form of personal journaling. You can document your thoughts, experiences, and milestones in a way that can be cherished in the future. Many people around the world write letters to themselves so that they can look back at them in the future. This really helps you to introspect on your change from then to now. In certain situations, such as job applications and formal invitations, a well-written letter is still the preferred mode of communication, and it showcases professionalism. I would like to end my stance by saying that writing letters is a traditional practice that connects us to our heritage and helps preserve the art of handwritten communication. And I hope that one day, everyone will understand and would be willing to write letters instead of being compelled to do so. Thank you.
Alan, Corbin, please.
As you mentioned in your debate that letters can be preserved, but can't messages be saved in an account? What's your thought on that? Thank you for your question. As I said, letters can be preserved, and you can save messages on your phone. But doesn't that make the effect of writing letters? Because writing letters take so much love, affection, and most importantly, time. So it shows that someone is wasting their efforts to write you a letter, and texting someone, it just takes like a few minutes. So doesn't make writing letters make it more special for the receiver? Thank you.
Questions? Alan?
Madam Speaker, in letters you might use your words to express yourselves as much as you want, but while using technology we can use emojis, and they are a lot more effective and efficient.
Thank you for your question. Emojis do express what you're trying to say, but I feel like the hard work that you put into writing letters and the love and affection is way more
expression than emojis, because I feel like the receiver will get to know that you have worked so hard to write letter for them. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call upon Arid Goel to speak his views for the motion.
With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to begin my debate. Dear Mummy and Papa, I hope you are doing well. I'm working hard for my first terminal exams. I will try to make you proud. Take care of yourselves. Your loving son, Arid. I had written this letter to my parents sometime in May this year, but I received it from the courier myself when I visited home in June. I read it myself before my parents could even read it. And by the way, that part about making my parents proud, well, it didn't quite work out. Good afternoon, esteemed judges, worthy opponents, and my lovely audience. The point I'm trying to make is that compelling students to write letters defeats the very purpose behind sending those letters, because they simply take far too long to reach to the receiver when compared to emails or instant messaging apps. Why, after all, do we write letters? Is it not to stay connected with friends or family? To ask for help or complain about something? To send others information, news, or greetings? If all this is true, the speed with which communication would take place is of paramount importance. So, it makes much more sense to compel students to learn telephone and instant messaging etiquette than to teach them how to write letters, which only delivers yesterday's news. The fact of the matter is that for most of the people in the 21st century, time is a precious commodity. Let's face it, when we grow up, we'll be juggling with many different responsibilities related to our family and professions. Will we really have the time to sit down and put our hearts and souls into writing a letter? It is most likely that we'll be managing all sorts of communication through face-to-face interaction, phone calls, or instant messaging. When we hold inter-school fest, we do send letters of invitation to other schools. But because we do know that these letters may or may not be read, we make sure to give them a phone call as well. We form WhatsApp groups to stay connected with other schools, and we send them our rules and regulations through emails. It may be hard to accept, but the harsh truth is that letter writing is fast becoming obsolete and dated. Students need to be taught skills that will help them keep a pace with a rapidly changing world. One of those skills is the ability to communicate in the fastest, most efficient, and in a concise way. Knowing how to do so could make the difference between getting a business contract and missing it. In emergency situation, it could make the difference between life and death. If the art of letter writing is slowly dying, there is a reason for it. It has outlived its benefit. So, instead of struggling to keep it alive, we need to let it rest in peace, because more effective and efficient means of communication have taken its place. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Questions? Condon?
Aren't letters more precious because one made some efforts, whereas messages can be sent by AI also and one does not make any efforts? What's your thought on that?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Interjector. What most of the people want is that to know what you have messaged them. And if we write letters, it takes lot of time. So what do you want to say, that we have to wait for the letter, so that we have to wait for the other person's message so that we can feel more proud? I hope I've answered your question.
digital communication releases tons of carbon dioxide into the air due to carbon footprint. And what is your say on this?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Interjector. And well, letter writing wastes lots of paper, and it even takes time, and it even takes money, and sometimes it takes lot of time to reach to the receiver, and sometimes it doesn't even reach it to the receiver. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvind. Now I'd like to call upon Chehak Singhal to express her views against the motion.
One day during the winter vacation last year, I saw my mother sitting in her room reading a letter. A letter written to her by her grandmother years ago. She was holding a sheet of paper in her hands and running her fingers over each word written in my great grandmother's beautiful handwriting. I'd often seen her do that, and when I asked her why, she said, "Each time I do this, I feel as if my grandmother is by my side, talking to me, comforting me, caressing me in her gentle, loving words." That, ladies and gentlemen, is the magical impact that letters have on us. They help us connect with each other in a way that no email or no telephone call ever can. Good afternoon, esteemed judges and the House at large. To promote the cause of compelling students to write letters, I would like to present before you three constructive arguments. In my first argument, I put before you the usefulness of writing letters. Writing letters can be extremely healing and therapeutic because they help us cut down on screen time and reduce stress. The simple motion of putting pen to paper provides clarity and peace. Compelling students to write letters will improve their communication, social, and handwriting skills. This is particularly important because as we grow up, many companies and organizations ask for a handwritten application letter as well. So, knowing how to write a letter or not could really make the difference between getting the job we really want or not getting it. Moving on to my second constructive argument. Writing letters allow us to simply slow down, to introspect, and to connect with others on a more personal level. We allow ourselves to think about what we want to say and how we want to say it. Sadly, today our communication has been reduced to sending emojis for everything. A quick phone call to say, "Hi, how are you?" and "goodbye" is no way to express your thoughts, emotions, and feelings. We cannot always pay personal visits to family and friends, but we can compensate for that by writing letters. A handwritten letter written to a colleague or a business associate tends to have a far greater impact than a hurriedly sent one-line email or message. In my final and last constructive argument, I would like to point out that as children grow up, the need for writing letter will come their way. And when they don't know basic things like how to begin it, how to structure it, how to conclude it, where to write the receiver's address, where to write the sender's address, they will really wish they hadn't harassed their class teacher and letter monitor so much. Letter writing is an essential life skill, ladies and gentlemen. And if we don't compel students to learn it right now, it will have a very damaging impact on their future. Make no mistake about it. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Question. Carl.
What about we are in some kind of emergency situation and we have to communicate as quickly as possible, and then letters are not the preferred mode of transport, then you will have to resort to digital communication, and then letters are not a very good life skill.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer your question. Mr. Interjector, I think you forgot that we're talking about the majority and not the ifs. But still, I'll answer your question. The point is that letters are a very important skill. We need to learn them. We are not talking about emergencies. There are many exceptions in life. But learning letter will impact your future. And we all need jobs. We all need to make a career. Thank you.
think that making students write letters can make them write letters very short? Please give your thoughts on that.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer your question. Mr. Interjector, at least when we force them or compel them to write the letters, they will actually learn to write them. Writing a short letter will, no, well, it's a normal reaction, but they will understand it as they grow up. I just stated the reason. We need jobs, we need to write application letters, and not to mention we also need to go to the colleges. Thank you.